Now we'll look at how to actually use the YABR to remove. This is a 3/8 wedge bolt. If you're not familiar, a wedge bolt works. You drive it into the hole, whatever size, and then as you tighten the nut on it, it pulls the bolt out, creating tension on the bolts. This little clip at the end stays in place, and as the bolt is drawn up through that expansion clip, it's forced open on this cone shape, creating expansion in the rock. Our goal when we're taking this out is to first knock the bolt out of the clip to reduce that expansion. We're then going to spin the bolt inside of that clip to create a groove on the end of that cone that the clip will ride on, and then we'll use the YABR to pull the whole bolt and clip out of the rock. On this one, you can see the little bit of a groove that was made there, a little step, and so this expansion clip hits that and can no longer expand when I'm pulling it out. It comes out as a whole unit, hopefully. Again, I like to use a socket and a ratchet to remove these. I find that it rounds out the corners less often, and I'm more successful getting them out. Remove the hanger and washer. I like to put the nut back onto the bolt and tap the bolt into the hole with a hammer. There should be a little bit of play in the bolt after you do that. I just put the nut back on there in case that hole is too deep and I don't accidentally lose the whole bolt. And take that back off. Take the spinner with the depth set with that reverse thread screw, put it into the drill. You want to make sure that the drill is forward and in drill only mode. Screw that on. Hopefully you can hear it spins freely. Sometimes when these are really corroded, it won't spin freely. There's too much rust in there. If that's the case, you can put the drill back into hammer and try tapping it a little deeper into the hole and see if you can break that connection loose. The other thing that works well to get it started, if the drill doesn't have enough power to spin it, is take that adjustable wrench and grab the coupler and turn it clockwise manually to break that free. Once you do that a couple times and get it moving, it should be loose enough that the drill itself can spin it. At this point, take whatever bottle you have with water, spray some down into the hole, and then we'll start spinning it. I alternately pull out and release, and I also just a little bit kind of rock the drill. Getting too much lateral load on the drill is hard on the motor, so I don't really crank it. That's also a good way to bend or break the bolt or your adapter, but a little bit back and forth, kind of rocking it. And then I generally only go for 15 to 20 seconds at a time. This is pretty tough on the motor, and I want this drill to last a long time. So I'll go for a while, give the drill a break, try to pull it out. If I need to do some more, I'll take the drill off, or take the puller off and go back to spinning it. So you can hear there that the motor is having to work a little bit harder. There's more resistance in there. Sometimes the cone on the end of the bolt will re-engage a little bit. If that happens, you can switch it back to hammer mode, tap it down into the hole, or again use your adjustable wrench to manually twist that and get it moving again. Spray a little bit more water down in there. take this off, you can see that the water is actually boiling in there a little bit. You want to be careful not to get the bolt too hot, as it will weaken it and make it more likely to break when you're pulling it out. Occasionally I'll have one that the cone of the bolt shears off and stays in the bottom of the hole, and if that happens, if it shears down here, it's hard to drill through this, and so then you end up having to patch that and drill a new hole. So we'll try to avoid that. I think this one's probably ready to go. So I'm going to put the drill back on. I'm going to go into reverse. Take the adapter off. These coupler nuts will fit onto they're interchangeable with the spinner, adapter, and the YABR. So I'll go ahead and screw this down onto my bolt stud, and then I'll screw the end of the tool onto the coupler nut. If you try to turn it onto the bolt or onto the coupler nut with the handle, you're just going to be pulling out the ball screw. And so if instead you turn the square tubing, you can use that like a little handle, and you can turn the whole assembly on, screwing it on. Once you get 3 or 4 threads, you can tighten that down. As I'm pulling this out, you can see that there's not a whole lot of resistance there. I'm probably only putting maybe 10 pounds of force onto that. If you're really having to fight it, you probably need to spin it more. It's trying to expand in the hole and it's fighting you. If you have a little bit of resistance, you can go forward a little bit and then back off and kind of just slowly work it out. If you really try to force it when it's fighting you, you're going to end up breaking the bolt. So be a little bit gentle pulling it out. Again, this one's not giving me much resistance. There we go. So here's the bolt. You can see a little bit that we spun that cut in a groove into the cone so that can't slide down and expand, and then we're able to pull it all the way out. At this point, you can reuse the hole, re-drill it to a larger size for a new bolt. I'm using mostly glue-ins now. I really like these twist bolts by Bolt Products, available in the US from Team Tough. That's what I'm mostly using, but some new larger bolt that can fit in that hole, re-drill it, clean it, all that, can reuse it.